This man is a threat to any Protoss player that goes in his way. He is our red Terran player, BYUN.
And in the upper left, in the blue, the champion of DreamHack Last Chance for the Afrika Freaks. He's Trap. And man, you know what's funny? Talking about intros, players with monosyllabic names, and it's just like just one hit. It's so hard to do intros for, like Trap in particular. I'm like, he's Trap, and then you stop and you're like, that doesn't sound very good at all. But that's what his name is. And even with someone like BYUN, yeah, it's monosyllabic, but you kind of get a little bit more inflection there. It's a more interesting name to say. And this is not saying that Trap's name is bad. I mean, it leads to all sorts of wonderful puns, and he's an excellent player. But a little bit of insight into things I struggle with on a daily, a monthly, a yearly, a lifetime basis, because you know.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Nothing's ever easy.
It's kind of funny because, you know, Trap obviously had to choose his name. BYUN is actually, I think BYUN is actually his real name. So he's kind of just going around, everyone's saying his first name, which is kind of weird in Korean society because usually you refer to everyone by their last name in most Asian cultures. So little nerd out there, but right now Trap trying to deny that second CC, but almost loses the probe for it.
And that's just about standard, as the probe going to go down to just about 5 HP, and then, of course, it will be forced out. So that's kind of what happened there. Yeah, and BYUN's name, of course, full name is BeoMulf Hyunwoo. So, yeah. And actually, that is such an interesting dichotomy when we look at things, how Korean esports versus Western esports happen. You know, when we're talking about players, you know, when Scarlet's playing a game, we don't say, oh, it's Sasha Hostin, or Sasha's running it. You know, not really. It's Scarlet. You know, Cyril is Cyril. He's not, why am I blanking on Cyril's name at the moment? But anyway, he's not bad. He is just Cyril. But in Korean StarCraft, you know, it's BeoMulf Hyunwoo. Like, that's what's on the overlay. That's all that. Oh, BeoMulf going for the greedy option here this game number 1. We see that 2 minutes and 30-second third base. And Trap, well, for his part, it looks like we're probably going to see Blink here. This may be DTs. I don't think so. That's not the standard. That's not the meta. But it certainly is possible. Now this Adept. We'll try to shade in. But, oh, there are 3 Marines. Not exactly going to be a worthwhile trade for it whatsoever. We may see it try to run in, but I don't think we're going to see a shade complete. Yeah, especially not with 5 Marines. No. And yeah, Blink is now on the way. The question is, do we see 3? Do we see 2 gates added? Do we see 1? Where does Trap go from here?
Honestly, I think this is literally the best case scenario for Trap, because with this, just kind of taking a look at it, there's not going to be a factory out in time. There's not going to be any siege tanks. Stim not going to come down for a while here, although it does look like BeoMulf is going to start going for that off the back of, you know, a kind of semi 2-1-1. But yeah, this really is going to give Trap a little bit of an angle to kind of get in there and get those good connections that we kind of see. Kind of want to see from him, and this is a lot more aggressive than just a 2-gate stalker, because there are 3 additional gateways being dropped, the Warp Prism coming down. This is aggression from Trap.
Yep, we do have Trap. He is going all in here in this game number 1. I don't know whether he saw something, because honestly, I don't think I saw a whole lot. Maybe it was just the amount of Marines that he saw coming on in, or maybe this was just his map planning. He says, look, I know BeoMulf likes to do this build on this map, and I know how I can punish it, because Trap, you know, he is a champion. He is an excellent player, and he is absolutely going to look to punish this bit of greed coming on in from our red Terran player here. Actually, do we have an orbital? Yeah, so maybe he's just counting the number of mules. It says, okay, wait, this is too many mules for this to be anything other than a 3rd command center. And we do have that. Warp Prism is now done. Blink is done. And we're going to see more Stalkers now walking their way across the map. And the question is whether BeoMulf will be able to hold.
Now, there is a little bit of a window here for Trap, not just for the splash and AoE, but before Stim is done. We've just got about like maybe 30 to 40 seconds before that completes. So we'll have to see, because Trap is going to be moving in here, rotating around to the potential 3rd base. Going to add a couple of more warp-ins, and the question is he going to go straight into the main base? No, he's just going to go straight for the natural.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to pressure here as he waits for that last warp, and he got a little bit supply block for half a second, but he will not blink forward. The bunker will just go down here, and that is already a bit of a problem for BeoMulf, as the SCVs are forced to be pulled. Stim is done in 8 seconds, but Stim is not done yet, which means so many SCVs are going to die, so much everything else is going to die. And now Trap blinking backwards just a little, because you got to remember here, BeoMulf, he has stim and +1 at a similar timing. So yes, 8 workers have gone down, but this traditional timing, when we look at Blink Stalkers no longer being useful, is when stim is done. Now BeoMulf, of course, his stim will wear out, and we do not have any medevacs on the map. Not yet. Is our starport even done? It is. So now we're going to see some medevacs get on the way here.
Yeah, he was
But
focusing...
for the moment, BeoMulf, that is permanent damage that his army has taken.
Yeah, he was focusing way too hard on kind of chasing down those stalkers, and you kind of see, even with stim, you're not able to chase them down because they can get the pickoffs and then just blink away. Looks like he's just going to focus fire down a couple of those additional SCVs. He still has the potential to get quite a bit of work done here before those medevacs come out. This is just looking worse and worse for BeoMulf. If he can stabilize, though, he has that third base. He has the mule energy. Even taking a look at the income advantage, it's in BeoMulf's favor because of that third CC. But he's just getting so many pickoffs.
As I look at this, yes, this is a scary push from Trap, but again, the longer this lasts, the better it is from BeoMulf. And okay, never mind. Now we see more warpers coming in. I'm saying, the disparity is not all that bad. But now BeoMulf, he's actually going to stim forward. And do we have concussive shell? No, we don't. But just stim and +1 is allowing BeoMulf to take a pretty good trade. And considering the fact that he has a third command center, he is able to replenish these SCVs that he has lost. But now we're starting to see the trade that Trap was looking for. Now we're starting to see that snowball, as now it's going to be 4 zealots coming on in. We don't have charge, so this is, of course, just going to be a little bit of a meat shield here to allow the Stalkers to take the fight that they are looking for, to force BeoMulf to micro back just a little bit more than he would possibly want. And now Trap, he's moving on in here, but the army supplies, they're equalizing out just a little bit as we wait for more warp-ins. And maybe BeoMulf has what he's looking for here, but now, looks at the Stalkers, they're going to be
beautiful micro. Oh my god, he saved so many of those Marauders. He's able to hold on just barely by the skin of his teeth, but he's down over 20 workers right now. Mules, they can be very OP in most situations, but I don't know if they're that OP.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, BeoMulf is just on the edge of holding. He's just on the edge of having what he needs. But 4 gate against a quick third CC, that realistically should never work out well for the Terran player. And Trap, he's going to continue to shark around. I think he realizes at this point that the timing, that the time of the 4 gate blink is kind of done. Plus, 1-1 is now done here for the Terran player. Well, it's done in 1 second. Functionally, it's going to be done. And now, well, we're going to have BeoMulf try to find this once again, but only 3 Marines. It really should not be able to remove this, knock the Warp Prism down. And BeoMulf, actually, he is forced to make a decision he doesn't want to have to make, as, well, there's army pushing in the front, and there is this drop coming in from behind. There's just not enough army here to remove the Warp Prism, so... Well, BeoMulf not in the best situation now, but you gotta remember, look at the supplies. They're within 10. So, yeah, BeoMulf, he's down 20 army supply, but he's up, or 20 workers. He's up 10 army supply. And there's going to be if he can remove this Warp Prism, if he can say, look, this threat from me is now going to be gone for the time being, there is this timing he can hit where he's just going to have such a more powerful army than his opponent.
Indeed, indeed. We do see that gateway explosion out of Trap as well. He's getting charged, +1 upgrades that BeoMulf just really can't afford right now either. Also going to get the Viking to, like you said, get rid of this Warp Prism, because that's the one thing kind of holding him onto this side of the map. Might just force the recall here. Nah, it looks like he's actually going to just try and get out of there. That might be a mistake. Loses the Warp Prism. And now I think with that, BeoMulf needs to put a little bit of pressure on in order to secure that third base location.
Absolutely. BeoMulf has a license to kill here as we continue our James Bond references for whatever reason. As he's now getting ready to move across the map. His army, it's up to an army supply, but it is a superior army at this point. It has 1-1, Protoss at 0-0, and yes, there are... Actually, there are 3 Colossus on the map, so maybe Trap does have enough with force fields, with good Colossus positioning. He will be able to stay alive, and all he's got to wait is just about 20-30 seconds at this point, because 1-1 is just about done, and that nice upgrade advantage, that significant upgrade advantage that BeoMulf has is not going to be nearly as impactful, well, once it's gone. So now we have BeoMulf looking to get his way on top of the 4th base that's just about halfway done here for Trap, and that is not a fight that BeoMulf can take, not into the high ground, not like that. Charge lots will make connections, and yeah, the Widow Mines will go off just a little, but now they will be removed. BeoMulf, though, he's now nursing an 18 army supply lead, and we're going to see him start to drop.
Oh no, this might be a mistake here, as those Stalkers with the blink trying to get on top of him. Actually, BeoMulf does manage to save a good majority of those. I think from here, yeah, a couple of drops would be beautiful. While the army is all the way up here, one thing you're going to do is you're either going to force the recall, or you're going to, you're just going to get massive amounts of damage done. So just any amount of pressure will be beautiful for ByeOn. And, yeah, looks like he is setting up for that 1-2 punch here.
Absolutely. So we do have some upgrade parity now. 1-1 is done for, well, 1-1 is done for both players, but now we have 2-2 on the way for both players as well. And you know what? I mean, yes, ByeOn does need some further tech. He needs Ghosts or Vikings. But we have hit a decent amount of parity here, and ByeOn's actually setting up a, well, you might want to call it a counterattack, but it looks like we're actually going to see a fairly tasty surround as the majority of ByeOn's army is behind the army of Trap now. So as long as ByeOn doesn't die here, which is a very high likelihood to be totally frank, he can potentially get a nice surround on in here as we do have a drop coming on into the 4th base. But how does ByeOn take this fight? There are 3 Colossi. Charge lots are in his natural. 11 workers have died. Now he's going to charge drop in the main base. It will not work out here as Stalkers, they've warped in. They are removing this entire drop. And now ByeOn, he's going to stim on forward, do what he can, but the force fields are going to section this army out incredibly well. And ByeOn, he's just not taking a good fight. That army supply lead he had, it's not here anymore, as now he's down at 12 army supply instead of up 20. Trap, he's firing strong, and ByeOn, he's trying to get on top of these Colossi, but I think there is just enough here, and GG Trap. His advantage is going to turn into a victory in this game number 1.
Fantastic engagements there. Like, that's kind of the thing. I think that was not necessarily a build order loss completely, but we just saw how, just how strong that 4-gate is versus that greedy 3cc. So that's really just kind of what happened there, honestly. Like, I think if ByeOn maybe go for a more standard 2-1-1 or just literally almost anything else, he would have been in a much better position.
Yeah, honestly, you talked about that not being a build order counter. I think it just pretty much was. It's a testament to ByeOn's skill that he was able to make it look like he had a chance at holding over the course of the. I mean, look, it's 4-gate blink. It's one of the more all-in options that a Protoss can do against a 2-minute 30-second third. Like, that is almost the greediest Terran option, and it is one of the more aggressive Protoss options. So together, that realistically should be the Protoss just smashing the Terran. And ByeOn, he was able, with good SCV macro with the pulls, was able to stay alive for the time being. But, I mean, he lost something like 40 workers in that game before 10 minutes. It's really, really hard to come back from that. And Trap, well, he just snowballed. And, yeah, we looked at the supply, and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. But you look at the tech, and you're like, okay, Trap is ByeOn just doesn't have what he needs to be able to fight the army of Trap, even if the supplies are equal.
Yeah, just never really able to get up to that army comp that you really do need versus all of those Colossus, all that charge Zealot. And once the upgrades started kicking in, that was pretty much it. But you know what? Enough about that game, because we have another game loaded up for you guys. Spawning in on Oxide. He may be teamless, but he's also fearless. Give it up for ByeOn.
And in the bottom right, in the blue, the Slayer of Terrans everywhere, up 1-0 in this best of 3. For the Afrika Freaks, he's Trap. And you know what? This is actually a relatively important match. We sit here at Trap 1-0. The winner of this match guarantees himself 2nd place. Guarantees a spot in the finals facing Raynor. Now, I think at this point, Raynor is guaranteed that number 1 seed. Not even just guaranteed a spot in the finals, he's guaranteed the A slot in that finals, strictly because, well, he has the tiebreaker against both ByeOn and Trap. He's beaten both of them. So with that being said, the winner of this, well, are we going to see ByeOn versus Raynor? Or are we going to see Trap versus Raynor in that grand finals? That is what this map and potentially the following map will tell us. Both players played pretty good games against Raynor. Raynor, of course, beat both of them, but Trap won 2-1. I think we might see a little bit different of a result in a best of 5 because that means Raynor cannot just ban out all the good Stargate maps. And on the flip side, I mean, ByeOn realistically should have won that first game against Raynor. So even though Raynor looked really dominant in those series, I don't think we'd see something quite as one-sided when we go into a best of 5 setup.
All right, so ByeOn is once again doing a kind of a more standard opening here. He did go for that first Marine, going to get the reactor up, and that's actually pretty safe versus Protoss, because what that allows you to do is that allows you to kind of snipe that first adept with those 3 Marines. It keeps you that much safer. And look at this, BeoMulf, you are a glutton for punishment, and I love it.
Yeah, pretty much. As I made the mistake of tapping out. So, yeah, there we go. Extra command centers on the way, but Trap, he's doing a little bit different of an opener this time. Stargate is on the way. So that will mean that Trap, he's not going to go all in. Not this time. I guess there's some 40 like charge lotto ends, but that's really against Zerg, and it's kind of fallen out of the meta anyways. Apparently I turned sound off. I was like, why in the world can I not hear it? Yeah, I turned sound off, so that's fun. We're going to have to see how much damage Trap is going to be able to get done here in this game number 2. Stargate, of course, is on the way. We probably will see an Oracle come out. But one of the upsides of this opener, that BeoMulf has gone for, and actually look at this. So Trap, he's okay to lose these adepts at this point because what he's doing is he's removing Marines from the map. Actually, he won't win that fight. But removing the Marines from the map means that it is that much more difficult for BeoMulf to defend both of his mineral lines at the same time. As now we do have, well, the Oracles are going to go across the map in a second, but more adepts are on the way. So we should continue to see Trap try to trade, try to remove the Marines from the map, which will allow his Oracle to just be so powerful in the coming moments.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be going into Phoenix as well. Trap using Phoenix versus Clem very well, just showing that he's very good with his Stargate control. And this first Oracle, I'm expecting that to be able to get some good damage done, because like you said, the Marine count heavily stopped, distorted here. The bunker now is finished, but I mean, you're not really going to be able to fight in here. So Trap actually just able to take this immensely. SCVs happen to be pulled. Oh my goodness, that Oracle is so low.
Yeah, this is just such a good trade here. So the number, of course, is 6. That is how many Marines you need to fight an Oracle without just losing the game. And yes, did the Oracle kill that many SCVs? Not really, but if we look at resources lost, that is an incredibly good trade here for Trap. He was able to just severely diminish the army of BeoMulf in a game where BeoMulf is not going to have a ton of army into that mid game anyways, right? He went for a 2-on-1 out of a 3rd command center, which actually, you know what, it's interesting. When I think about this build a little bit more, TY started showing this, the 2-on-1 3rd base build. TY started showing that in TVZ several months back, and it took the world by storm for a little bit. And it's kind of interesting now we've seen that build kind of move over in a similar variation onto TVP, so that's kind of cool. But Trap now, he has a Phoenix and he has an Oracle as well. So there's now, actually no, he got a 2nd Oracle, so he will be able to get a decent amount of damage done here, as that Oracle will get snapped down. Unfortunately, Trap lacking in his Oracle control just a little bit, but he's going to be fine. Now with the 3rd base is just about done here. Templar Archive or Twilight Council will be done as well. And yeah, Trap's not going to be able to get too much further done. And it's, you know what? Okay, Pastor, let's talk about this for a second. Okay. Trap, he went for Phoenix, right? He got 2 Oracles. He got a Phoenix. What does that composition sound like to you?
What does it sound like? It sounds like trouble, honestly, because he doesn't really have that much back at home. Having to warp in a couple of additional adepts, and his additional gateways are not done.
I was going for the fact that sounds like what you do in PvZ because you're trying to lift a queen. Because
yeah,
honestly,
definitely.
this Phoenix doesn't do anything when you're looking at the game like this. So now we do have this little bit of a Terran army. Will find its way into the 3rd base, knocking down that shield battery, which is going to be pretty nice. But I think we have just barely enough.
Ooh.
Oh, actually, you know what? Not really. Not with the shield. Not with the sentries getting targeted down. And, well, okay, now we have another warp in. 4 gates are, of course, here. And, yeah, these Marines, they're going to take a good trade for themselves, but they will not be able to do any significant economic damage to the blue Protoss player. But, yeah, you know, it's interesting. I'm not totally sure why Trap decided to get a Phoenix there. You generally, if you get a Phoenix as a Protoss player against Terran, you go up to 5, but we do now have 4 Phoenix on the way. So maybe this was just Trap saying, you know what, I want to make sure I don't die to something, so I'm going to cut down on Phoenix for the moment, and now I'm going to go back into it. It's a bit weird. But you know what?
It's
Trap's the pro player, not me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a roundabout way to get to where you're going. And now keep in mind, we don't have Colossus this time. So BeoMulf really does have to recognize that. He needs to see that it's just pure Archon. I don't think he went for Stim, or Storm rather. And yeah, so it's Phoenix Archon? Interesting.
Yeah, Charge Lot Immortal Archon is the build. Technically, there was a time when lurkers were prevalent in ZVP in an earlier timing than they are now, before lurker upgrades became a thing and all that.
Oh,
And
no.
the way to play against that was you went Phoenix into Immortal Charizard Archon. It was the Pika build. And we're seeing something. I mean, granted, this is not ZVP or PVZ, whatever you want to call it. It's not anything like that, but it is a similar methodology here. As Phoenix, they just keep you, well, they help in a push, so you can lift up the power units, but also they keep you safe from drops. And behind that, Charizard Immortal Archon, or in this case, just Charizard Archon, is an incredibly powerful ground pounding force. So if you're worried that BYUN is going to look to go for some just really aggressive option off of this third base, well, it makes a lot of sense that you go for this build. It means that you can pick up any tanks, and Charizards and Archons will just be able to swarm the Terran army and knock it into the Stone Age. It's actually kind of funny how powerful this army is before the Terrans at about 160 supply. I've seen, you see actually these this army composition beat Terran armies that are like 20 army supply higher, just because Charizards are chonky boys, and it doesn't really happen. So now we do have BYUN. He's moving on into this, and the question is whether Trap will be able to hold.
Looks like so far he does get a good chunk of those units. The Zealots starting to go down there. Charge is on cooldown. The Widow Mines actually being baited into the bio, so I think they did a little bit more damage, but he is still able to push his way through. A couple of additional Warpins will have to come in to help defend, but I think he actually cleans this up. And look at that, the Phoenix actually being used as collateral damage here. Trap, I think.
Yeah, this.
Oh my God, this is so dirty. Like, seriously.
This is Trap saying, ah, BYUN, you've fallen for my Trap card once again. As this build, this option, this army composition that Trap has gone for is absolutely designed to just beat aggressive Terrans. Now, there are games where the Terran just realizes that this is happening. They sit back, they take a fourth base, they just build a bunch of tanks, and nothing happens, and the Protoss just kind of loses because the army times out. But when you have a player like BYUN who just wants to hit the gas, this heavily Charizard composition, well, it is just purely built to just kind of swallow up the Terran army whole the minute it steps out on the map here. And that is exactly what Trap has done. He has his fourth base done now. He has superior upgrades. He's going into +3 armor already. BYUN, he's just on 1-1. Armory is not even done at this point. Well, Armory was done, but now it's killed, and BYUN did not start. Well, he didn't start his 2-2 upgrades in time. And now, well, BYUN, he's going to have to figure out exactly... Oh, he just got it. No, never mind. That's not an SCV pull. That's just BYUN replenishing his third base once again.
Oh, no.
And now Trap's got to find the army. Oh, no. Oh, no, BYUN. This is not looking good.
Yeah, the Widow Mines all get lifted, so they will not be a factor in this fight. Looks like BYUN just barely holding on. And remember, he does have the kind of transition here. He has the Ghost Academy. He just can't afford to get any Ghosts right now because he is gas broke. So it is just pure Marauder Marine Widow Mine right now. And you know, if he keeps fighting in these choke points, I'm going to slap him because there is so much force field energy right there.
You know what? Actually, you talk about a Ghost Academy. He had a Ghost Academy, but it should be mentioned is this. Yeah, it was killed. It was at the third base. I don't understand why Terran players build that Ghost Academy at their third. The amount of games I've seen lost because a Ghost Academy gets killed because it was poorly placed is significant. And once again, I think that we're going to see that happen here, as Ghosts are just so incredibly powerful against this Terran composition, or against this Protoss composition, and not having that because you placed your Ghost Academy at your third base. As is that going up at the third base again? No, I think it's being put up in a Ghost Academy at the third base once again. BYUN not necessarily learning from them, but I guess that's just where your camera goes. You're just trying to be as efficient as possible. And now Trap is fifth base on the way, and we do have 2 Colossus on the way at a time. 2 are already here. So yeah, BYUN is eventually going to have an army that is good against this Charizard Archon style. But I mean, there are going to be 4 Colossus now. No Vikings on the way. And that is just another pain, another thorn in the side of BYUN here as he tries to figure out how he can find his way back in this game. As BYUN, he's going to take his fight once again, but there is a Colossus here. Yes, Extended Thermal Lance is not done, but actually he's going to take a fairly decent fight. It's not perfect, but he's going to be able to kite back pretty well. All the Charles will go down, and that lead that we saw from Trap, it is diminishing just a little, but now BYUN, he's going to stem up the high ground into 2 Colossi. And, oh, the first Colossus won't even go down. Now Charizard flanking in from the side. And this BYUN, he took a good first fight, but it looks like the second one not going to be nearly as good as now. Well, we're going to have the SCVs get pulled once again. So many SCVs will go down. The Colossi, they are standing strong. And Trap now up 60, 70 supply. What does BYUN have left in the tank? Nothing at all. GG Trap. He's going to move on to the finals.
There you have it. A